So we'll begin with our opening prayers and the invocatory, the prayers of Vivekachudamani and Tattvabodha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidiyate Sarva Vedānta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. So we were seeing, we had completed a section of the Tattvabodha. We had completed the Avastha Traya, or the three states of experience. And again, as we have seen, these are all methodologies used in various texts to point to the one truth. So ultimately, all of these we have to understand are just ways of teachings, methods of teaching, and they come to the same conclusion, same truth, which means what? Atma is distinct. Atma is distinct and separate from these Avasthatraya. And now we're going to see another prakriya, methodology, pañcakośāḥ prakriya, which comes in Taittiriya Upanishad mainly. And pañcakośāḥs is the 5 sheaths, 5 coverings. Sheath, we have to understand, it is not, as I said, not like these dolls. You remove the big one, then the smaller one, and the smaller one, and finally Atma's inside. No. Sheath covering is in the sense of ajnanam, avidya, ignorance. So 5 places where we commit errors are called the pañcakośāḥs. So this is the next topic taken by Tattvabodha, and I'm going to take some verses from the Vivekachudamani to complement this. So he says in Tattvabodha, pañcakośāḥ ke. Ke because plural. pañcakośāḥ ke. Annamayaḥ, prāṇamayaḥ, manomayaḥ, vijñānamayaḥ, ānandamayaśceti. So first, very simply, the author lists out what the pañcakośāḥs are. What are these 5 sheaths? So first of all, the kosha, the word itself in Sanskrit, as I've said, Sanskrit has very beautiful meaning. So koshavat achadakavat kośaḥ, which means like a sheath. It covers the mind. It covers your understanding. It covers your knowledge. So it's a locus of error. And you find the 3 shariras, the shariratraya, the 3 bodies fit into these 5 sheaths. So let us see how they fit in. The sthula sharira we have seen. Sthula sharira here is equated to the annamaya kośaḥ. And we'll see what annamaya kośaḥ. Here it is the product of modified food. Modification of food goes to form the annamaya. Annamaya literally means modified food. So this physical body is nothing but modified food. Then the second sukshma sharira we saw in the shariratraya. In the sukshma sharira here, in this model, There are three koshas that match with Sukshma Sharira. So you have Pranamaya Koshaha, which is the vitality, sheath of vitality, of energy. So that's why we know pranic healing, all of this is to give us energy. When people say prana is also for health, people with good prana have good health. Of course, you can increase your prana to have good health. We'll see all of that. You'll see the connections. So in Sukshma Sharira, Pranamaya Koshaha, then you have Manomaya Koshaha, which is the mind. Manas here, we have to understand, there's a very broad term in English, mind. Here, the mind, the thinking faculty is actually more dissected in our Shastra. So we have to understand manomayaḥ is the emotional layer of your personality, the emotional layer of thought. The desires, all of this, the fluctuations of thought, all of this is manomaya. And feelings. Manomaya, in fact, in the Vivekachudamani, it is the biggest section. Adi Shankaracharya has many verses on this manomaya, because all the feelings of smallness, of lack, of feeling inadequate, dissatisfied, all to do with this covering. This covering is the main problem, main issue for all. This is where we make the biggest mistake. We take ourselves to be this manomaya koshaha. And when we talk about moksha, where is what wants moksha? Moksha is not for physical body, right? Physically, you can't say, oh, I want to be free. You're already free. You can move your body wherever you want. You're free to do that. The actual freedom is for this part. It is for manomaya koshaha. So we'll see that in greater depth. Then a third aspect of Sukshma Sharira here is Vijñānamaya Koshaha. This is the sheath or the covering of the intellect, the intelligence. All of this is in Vijñānamaya Koshaha. Again, these are levels of error we commit. So Vijñānamaya, we'll see what errors we commit. Then finally, Karna Sharira is equated to the fifth Koshaha, which is Ānandamaya Koshaha. And these Koshahas, we start Annamaya, Prāṇamaya, Manomaya, Vijñānamaya, Ānandamaya, is the source of happiness. It is the most pervasive, with levels of subtlety. When we say you go from the grossest to the most subtle. So Ānandamaya is the most subtle. It is the source of Ananda, source of pleasure. Here you have to understand Ananda is pleasure. It is not the Swarupa Ananda that is being discussed. If it was Swarupa Ananda, what is the difference? We have to note here. Swarupa Ananda, or the natural nature, your nature Ananda, will never change, will never shift. Whereas what do we find in Ānandamaya Koshaha? It goes, right? It is Ananda based on your thoughts. It is Ananda according to different states. So fluctuations of pleasure come. But whenever I experience a moment of pleasure, a moment of joy, then I'm in Ānandamaya Koshaha. And what is understanding here? Once we understand more and more, we recognize that Ānandamaya Kosha is also a level of error, mistake we could make, because we take that to be ourselves. And that Ānandamaya Koshaha, we go after again and again, that experience. And we don't understand it is just the reflection of the Swarupa Ananda, what my real nature is. So these are the 5 coverings, and we will focus on each one. We will see with the verses of Vivekachudamani, you will get good understanding. So the first one is Annamaya Koshaha, which is the food sheath. So in the Tattvabodha, he says, Annamayaḥ kaha, annarasenaiva bhūtvā, annarasenaiva vṛddhiṁ prāpya, annarūpapṛthivyāṁ, yadvilīyate tadannamayaḥ kośaḥ sthūlaśarīram. So, lot of anna here. What is annarasenaiva bhūtvā? It is born of food. It is gross and tangible. Something you can touch. Gross and tangible means you can see it, others can also see it, right? Everybody can see your gross body. And it is Maya here. Here, when you add Maya, it is modification of food. Adyate iti annam. This is in Sanskrit. What is eaten is called annam in Sanskrit. Sometimes annam is translated as rice. But it's not just rice we eat. We eat, spaghetti, we eat all sorts of things. So it is any food, it's modification of food. And rasa means the essence of the food. So it is not just the gross food, it's the essence of the food that goes to form this physical body, that makes the assimilation of food, makes this body grow, makes this body function. So whether we are vegetarian, vegan, or we have any type of diet, our physical body is made up of the food that we take in. And this begins even from the conception time. When the conception happens, it is only the anna of the parents, the modification of the parents' annam, that joins together to produce the child as well. So this is the way the fetus also starts growing in the womb because of annam. And the physical body, what happens? The physical body starts to grow. The physical body first comes into existence, is born. It's a miracle, isn't it? Then it starts, you see, age 1, age 2, age 3, how the child, progresses. You see it getting taller. Some people actually mark on the wall, every month they mark their child. You see, I've seen some places, in people's houses where there's all these lines on the wall. And you ask, what is that? Child 1, this is the growth this year. Child 2, this is the growth. So this is, more we consume, the more, food. And then finally, when your prarabdha says, stop, your height is only going to be 5'7". Your prarabdha, your karma has to say that. Because this body, annamaya, is based on your karma. He'll say that also. It is sat karma janyam. We saw in sthūlaśarīram, born of your karma. Born of your karma means your height is already decided. Your weight keeps changing because according to your karma at that moment. Suppose some dasha, some planetary period takes over, where that Jupiter, suppose Jupiter is meant to be very Guru. Guru is Jupiter. Guru in Sanskrit is not just teacher, it means fat, it means plump. So there are two meanings of Guru. So Jupiter may make, Jupiter Dasha in your chart may make you put on weight. So depending on your karma also, sometimes body becomes slim, sometimes it becomes big, sometimes due to many, many factors, right? So annarūpapṛthivyāṁ. Very simple, everything comes from the earth. Prithivya means it is from the earth we get our food. Even if we eat meat, what does the meat that we eat, what does that eat? It eats the grass, it eats from the earth, right? So ultimately everything comes from Prithvi. And Prithvi becomes food for all beings on this planet. And annarasenaiva vṛddhiṁ prāpya. So this, because of the rasa, what happens? You start growing, you start, vṛddhiṁ means you start to change, you start to modify. This Shat-vikaras come into the picture, the sixfold changes. Vardate, then viparinamate, the body starts changing. So all of this is based on annam. In the Chandogya Upanishad, this is quite analyzed actually, how this food and water affect your physical body and your pranic body as well. He says, annamayam hi saumya manaha. So the mind is nourished by food. The body is also nourished by food. Prana by water and speech by fire. So there you see that subtle part goes to form your whole system. So mind becomes also essence of food. And everything, what is unique about this annamaya kosha is made up of 5 elements alone. This is the most important thing to recognize. Only 5 elements and elementals. So this physical body is just as good as physical world. Physical world and physical body are just the same. In fact, just different shape and size. Yet we are so attached to this physical body. So in the Vivekachudamani, he goes on. Couple of verses I've picked. He explains a bit more, which is interesting to understand and to see what this body really is. So from 154 to 164, the verses, he talks about annamayaḥ kośaḥ in the Vivekachudamani. I've taken 154. He says, they Dehoyam annabhavano nama yastu koshaha chanena jivati vinashyati tadvihinaha tvacharma mamsarudirasti purisharashihe nayam swayam bhavitum arhati nitya shuddhaha. So here he says, similar, body is a product of food. And this is what is called the food sheath. It exists also because of food, and without the food, he says here, it dies. That is called death. Without food, it dies off. And here he mentions 7 things. It is Twat Charma Mamsa Rudira Asti Purishaha Rashihi. This is equivalent to Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, whoever has studied little Ayurveda, we have something called Saptadhatus. Saptadhatus are seven things that the physical body is made of. So you have Rasa Dhatu, which is the fluids, plasma, tissue fluids, all of this called Rasa Dhatu. Then you have Rakta Dhatu. Rakta Dhatu is your blood. All the blood cells, all of this Rakta Dhatu. Mamsa Dhatu, which is here Mamsa means flesh or muscle more than flesh, muscle. Meda Dhatu, which is fat and any kind of connective tissues, is called Meda Dhatu. Asti Dhatu is bone tissue. And Majja Dhatu is bone marrow. So these are 6, and then Shukra Dhatu is a reproductive system. So why is this important to understand? Because the physical body, if you really look at it, this is all this physical body is. We have to ask ourselves, am I this? Am I tissues, fluids, plasma? Am I blood? Am I muscle? Am I fat and connective tissues? This is very good to meditate on. I cannot be. And that's what he says here. This physical body can never be the self-revealing, self-existent, eternally pure self-atma. So this is, again, a verse that he takes, and, he says that the physical body cannot be you, because if you read this, what do you understand? One thing you should understand is that body is anitya. Anitya means it is impermanent. It is a temporary abode. It is impermanent because it is going to go. None of these things last. They're always, they're always getting older, worn out. All of this, it is impermanent. Atma, we have studied, is something which is permanent. It cannot be Atma. So first thing we understand is that body is impermanent. And what error do I commit on this level? Why do we call it a covering? Why do we call it sheath? The first level of error I commit is to say what? I am fat. I am skinny. I am ugly. I am beautiful. Where is I being judged from then? I is being judged from a lump of flesh, a lump of bone. All of the saptadhatus, you remember, you are judging this I from all this. You're judging I from all this muscle and all this that we just saw. So you're committing, the first level of error we commit is to take the I to be the physical body. I cannot be the physical body. It is a universal mistake, not just committed by people in one particular country, one particular place. Universal means whole Jagat commits this mistake. So the idea is that Atma is more than the physical body. Atma shines despite the limitations of the physical body. Atma is unaffected by the physical body's limitations. It cannot be touched by it. And we have unholily taken ourselves to be this physical body, and this has to be negated. So with the confusion, with knowledge, what happens? The confusion with a little bit of contemplation, you can see that the I sense cannot be invested in the physical body. It is not I, not I. So in the next verse, I have taken as well. He goes a bit further to explain. These verses are really good to understand. This is verse 155. He says, Purvam janer adimriterapi nayamasti jatak kshanaguno niyatasvabhavaha neko jadascha gatavat paridrishyamanaha Swatma katham bhavati bhavavikaravetha. What does he say here? He says, this body, before it was born, where was it? Did it exist? No. It did not exist before its birth. We cannot say it existed where? Probably in the form of all the food in the ground, the earth. We saw that it is a modification of what is in the earth. Through the food your parents have consumed, the physical body comes about, which is a miracle. How it happens, we have to see what a miracle it is, to see just a small sperm and egg getting together, producing this body. What a miracle. Can human beings do it? No. It is Ishvara. It is some intelligence there. So before the birth, this physical body did not exist. And after death, will it exist? After death, it will not exist. The very thing we call death means that this body is thrown to garbage. It's good as garbage, right? So how long does it last? How long does this physical body last? We think it's going to last a long time. That's the problem. Every day I feel, oh, I have more time, I have more time, I have more time. But he says here, very short period. It is not, and you can remember the short period when you look at, especially in the West, if you look at the gravestones, there is a date of entry, date of expiry. So date of birth, and what is between date of birth and date of expiry? A dash. That's your life. All the problems, all the ups and downs, all the crying, all the laughter, everything, all the ups and dash. So he says here, it lasts for a short period because it is fleeting. It is fleeting, subject to change every moment. Every moment it is always changing. We may not notice it, but it is changing, and it is inert, he says, like an object. Any object you take, it is inert. We see, some people say, when you hear this, inert, then people ask, but I see that person talking, walking, moving. How can that person be inert? You don't see the body doing it. That's a problem. You attribute the sentiency of the being to the physical body. But it is not the body by itself that's sentient. What is making the body walk, talk, sing, laugh, do all of that? That we have to understand. So when I see, there is a saying in Sanskrit, yet drishyam tat jadam. Whatever is perceived is inert. And this we have to understand. Even if we see moving and we see things, we say, oh, that's alive. The life doesn't belong to what you perceive. The life that is given to that object, that name and form, belongs to something else. That's why we call it borrowed sentiency. It is borrowed sentiency. None of the things that you perceive in this jagat are sentient by themselves. They come to light because of another light. So here he says that as well. This body is just as good as another sense object. There is no difference. Any body is just as good. Other bodies that you see, this body that you think you are is also like another sense object. And he says, he even uses a word here, gatavat, like a pot. It is as good as a clay pot. So the body, your body is as good as a clay pot. Then he asks the question, the last, swatma katham bhavati bhavavikara veta. How can then this body be the self, which is the witness to all the changes in everything? Can this physical body be the self? No, because there is something witnessing the changes of the physical body. You know when you were young, you know when you're youthful, you know when you're middle-aged, you know when your body is getting old. There is something witnessing the changes of the body. So the body is time-bound in nature. It's born in time. It lasts for a length of time. Adi Shankaracharya says very short length of time. That is why every moment is precious. We should not waste the moments that we have. Make best use of the moments, because suddenly it goes. It is born, lasts, goes. That's it. Subject to the sixfold changes, we've seen that. And even if you don't see it changing, it's interesting. You see, others. Suppose you meet somebody, after a few months, right? When you're with them constantly, you don't see the physical body changing. But I don't know whether you've experienced this. I know I have. I see somebody after 3 months and the whole thing has changed, the body. Some they put on the cheeks have got weight. And then you notice the change when you see people after a little time, right? This is what is happening daily. Every moment it is changing. It's subtly changing all the time, but we are not aware of the subtle changes. It is happening though. So before birth and after death, this same body will not exist. Shastra says very clearly, you'll pick up another body like another costume. Krishna says in Gita, you'll throw this off like vasamsi jirnani, like old clothes. And navani grinnati, you'll pick up new clothes. So one has to understand that it is a temporary home for the resident. It is not the resident itself. Only a transformation of 5 elements and elementals. Whole Jagat is the same way. And as I said, it borrows existence. How does it borrow existence? We have seen the sukshma, the subtle body, pervades just a little further out from the physical body. It is not totally limited to the physical body. Some people who have very, very powerful subtle bodies can pervade even further, right? So we say great Mahatmas, yogis, their subtle body may have more pervasion, but generally it is limited to one physical body and little further out. That's why, when we talk about aura healing and all these things may have some reality. So it borrows existence from the subtle body, which in turn borrows existence from what? The self, consciousness. Jyotisham Jyotihi, light of all lights, it is called. It lights up the subtle body, which then in turn makes the physical body come to life. We call it as though come to life. So Jatakshanaha, which means when it is born, Ksanagunaha, there is a new condition every moment. Cells, even scientifically, we know cells are always dying. New cells are being reborn, cells are dying. And also the body is subject to a lot of gunas, to shape is changing, hair color is changing, so many things are changing. So Ksanagunaha, Naikaha means that in one body, actually, he says, aneka, it is actually many. In one body, in one form, you become many bodies because it is changing throughout your life. It is like having different bodies. Do you look the same like you did in youth? No. Do you look the same like you did in, all this we see throughout. And then on top of that, we can have plastic surgery to also change the body because it is changeable. Nature also has its change, but Our free will also can make changes. If I feel I want to be a different shape, I can change. And nowadays you can change your gender. You don't have to stick to one gender. If you want to be another gender, it seems to be easy to do it, you know. It's quite surprising. Then so many things happen. So he says, even in this one birth, there are many bodies. It's like the one body is changing. And anayata swabhavaha means it is swabhavaha. Swabhavaha means it is unsteady. It is unstable because you don't know what's going to happen next. Anything can go wrong with the intelligence that makes order, biological order can go, something can go wrong. One thing usually you find it goes wrong, other things are impacted, right? That's why I always think in allopathy, you're given one medicine, you try and cure one problem, then you develop 100 more. Because, this should not affect the liver, this affects the liver, this, if you take this for a long period. See, all of this, so everything is beautifully interconnected. And that's why it is unsteady, because if one thing goes wrong, other things are also impacted. So he says, Jadam, it is inert, as we saw, like a pot. Inert means the definition of inert in Jadam in Sanskrit, beautiful definition, is that which is not conscious of itself, nor is it conscious of anything external either. That is called inert in Sanskrit. Is the physical body conscious of itself? No, because if you grab one hand, the hand is not going to say, stop grabbing me, right? It is not conscious, it's not conscious. There is something inside that is controlling the physical body. It is insentient. It doesn't have any self-consciousness on its own. And one of the most important things, Gatavat paridrishyamanaha, he says, it is perceived by you. It is an object of your knowledge. It is experienced by you. Pot cannot experience itself. Somebody using the pot can experience the pot, right? You are the experiencer of this body. You perceive the body. Even in language, you say my hand, my head, my arm. You don't say I head, I hand, I arm, I leg. You say my. Mine is possessive. My means there is somebody who is the possessor. Possessor and what is possessed are different from each other, right? So one has to see it is paridrishyamanaha, it is objectifiable. What is objectifiable cannot be you, because when there is an object, it is always in relation to a subject. You can't have it object otherwise. There is a subject perceiving the object. So the body is actually an impure bag of filth, stinky filth. That's what he's going to say in the next one. It is the Atma, which is pure, untainted, untouched, timeless in nature, which pervades this physical body. And this is the knowledge that one has to gain in life. So in the next verse, 156, he goes on to say, Pānipadādi mandeha Natma vyangepi jivanat tatachakteranashacha naniyam yo niyamakaha naniyam yo niyamakaha. What is he saying here? Easy. The body is made up, going on from the objectifiable. He says the body is made up of different parts put together. You cut off an arm, you cut off another arm, cut off a leg. People survive just torso. I saw somebody with just torso. No arms, no legs, but they were still doing, I think it was on one of these talent shows. There was a man, he was still doing some great gym, exercises. Just torso. Nothing, no arms, no legs, because it is made up of parts. Everything is put together, all different parts, and we give this put together body with parts a name called the physical body. And he says here, these parts, these parts brought together are called the gross body. In the same way, the Jagat, the universe is also put together. It's an assemblage, intelligent assemblage, intelligently put together. Who is that intelligence? We say it is Ishvaraha. There has to be an intelligence to intelligently put together this physical body. So it is made up of parts, various parts. And those parts are made up of their own parts, right? If you study the arm, even any body part you study, it's made up of separate parts. Then you go further and further, you go to atoms. So the parts are also made up of smaller parts. So everything is put together, put together, put together. And if one part goes missing, you don't die off, right? Only when the head goes missing, that we call death, because the thinking faculty, Golaka, is there. So, but some parts we can lose without us dying off, right? So here he says, Vyenge api jivanat. Even if some part fall off, even if one kidney is removed, even if something comes out of inside also parts, I still continue to survive, even if the parts are not there, because the Shakti is there in this physical body. It's endowed with the strength, the power from the Sukshma Sharira. In fact, he says, you know, when you amputate in amputees, there is a syndrome, a very famous syndrome called the phantom limb syndrome. I don't know whether you've heard of it. When they're amputated, what happens? The person still feels the part. They still feel the pain in the body part that's been amputated. So that's because the nervous system still, you know, the brain is not understanding the nervous system signals properly between the spinal cord and the brain. There's some technical thing there, and it can misinterpret the information. So you feel like you have a body part, but actually the part is not even there. What does that show? That shows that there is a power here inside the Sukshma. The outer part is not there, but the power continues to exist. So the power is within the Sukshma, the power to feel. And this body has an operator. That operator is the controller of the body, the one that makes the body move, the one that makes the body function. And this, you know, this is the Shakti inside, that Shakti that comes, that Shaktehe Anashad. The power behind all the limbs is wielded by you, wielded by that I, wielded by the ahankara. And he says here, yadvilīyate tat annamayaḥ kośaḥ sthūlaśarīram. When this annamayaḥ kośaḥ, when it is totally, all the parts, everything is taken out, when it destroyed, even if the parts are not taken off, when it is time to go back, then earth to earth, ashes to ashes. Just like that, it goes back to the earth, it goes back to the five elements, it merges with the elementals, and in fact, it becomes food for the next generation. Can you imagine all the food we're eating are probably ancestors that have been buried, and then we are surviving from their grace. Their plants are growing because of them. So we are actually surviving because of that. So here he says that this is the Annamaya kośaḥ. And the main reason why it is being brought up is to make you understand that Atma cannot be just this Annamaya kośaḥ. Within these couple of verses, you can see for yourself, can you be this lump of flesh? No, you are much more than all of this. Anyontara Atma pranamayaḥ. So the next Sharira, are you the pranamaya kosha then? So he says here, pranamayaḥ kaha pranadyaha panchavayavaha vagadindriya panchakam pranamaya kośaḥ. This is in Tattvabodha. And pranamaya kośaḥ he brings in 165 in Vivekachudamani. He says, Karmendriyai panchaviranchitoyam prano bhavet pranamayastu kośaḥ yenatmavanannamayoऽnupurnaḥ pravartate sau sakalat kriyasu. So what is this pranamaya kośaḥ? Pranamaya kośaḥ is made up of the 5 organs of actions. The power of the 5 organs of actions resides in this pranamaya kośaḥ, and it is called the vital air sheath. The vital airs. So this is, we'll see why the sheaths are vital. And it is the food, the annamaya kośaḥ is pervaded by the pranamaya kośaḥ, and the activities, all the karmendriyanis, the organs of actions, get their shakti, get their power from this prana. So all the activities I do in the world are because of the pranamaya kośaḥ. What are these 5 airs? What are these 5 vital airs? So when gross food is taken in, when you take food, it is converted into vitality. It is converted into 5 vital airs. And these are given names. So broadly, it is called prana, okay? But this prana is split into 5. First prana is called prana also, okay? You shouldn't confuse. The whole thing is called prana, but the first prana, the first vital air, is called respiration. So prana means respiration. And respiration, which organs does it take care of? It is said it is inward moving air. Inward moving air called prana. It deals with the heart, the chest, the lungs, the respiratory system, and also your sensory perception is also this. And if you have problems of heart and lung conditions, any of this, even tiredness, they say, this is all connected to your prana. You're not getting enough of this vital air. Prana, you're not getting enough of this vital air. So then all these problems may be their heart, lung conditions. So very interesting to see these connections. So breathing is governed by prana, the vital air of prana. And what does this do? This gives, of course, makes you active. So breath is very, very important because it brings in this energy, brings in a lot of energy. That's why pranayama, if you do, is very good because mental sheath it also affects, and also the physical sheath. Breathing gives a lot of energy. People who do all this bastrika and all these different types of pranayamas, it has a lot of effect, vital air. So this is one of the mukhya pranas. It is one of the main pranas, becomes life. It gives you life. See, it happens involuntarily. You're always breathing involuntarily, but we are not taught how to breathe to give us full capacity of energy to take in. That's why we have to, people say you have to breathe from the diaphragm. You should not breathe just from chest area. Breathe. When you take a breath, be aware of your breath, because when you take in breath, every moment you are you're giving fuel to your organs of actions to function. So it's very good to learn to breathe properly as well. So this is the first vital air. Second vital air is apana. Apana is responsible for, it's called the descending breath. Descending breath means descending air. Ado gamanavan vayuhu, descending air. And apana is responsible for eliminating waste from the body. So this all waste elimination, also responsible for reproduction, your immunity, all of this apana as a vital air is responsible for. So if you have any problems with, any sexual dysfunction, constipation, all of this, menstrual problems, all of this is because of apana not functioning properly. So the excretory system, the cleaning system is based on this prana. And waste disposal, so anything expelled from the body. Kidney is also included in this because kidneys purify and expel as well. This is the second vayu, vital air. Then you have the third one, which is vyana. What is vyana responsible for? Vyana is Vishwa Gamanavan Vayuhu. It is that air that circulates all through the body, responsible for your circulatory system. So it's responsible for all the blood pumping around. It is called diffusive prana. It diffuses throughout the body. Of course, responsible for your nervous system, or your arteries, all of the circulation, movement. So when you get numbness and poor circulation, you have nerve issues, it's due to this, this being weak, Vyana being weak in the system. And we can always, there are ways, yoga, pranayama, all of these are to increase this vital airs in the system. So all of this is very useful for a healthy life, actually. So everything comes together. Holistic health is very important. Even in the study, pursuit of knowledge, this is brought up here. So blood, it's included for blood circulation. The fourth prana is called samana. Samana is responsible for your digestion. So it is called the equalizing air. It equalizes everything, and it's based mainly in your navel area, in your stomach area, and your metabolism, digestive functions, all of this is because of this prana. So if you have any gut problems, all of this, again, the samana prana is not working properly. See, these pancha pranas have to function together for health to happen. So when the pranas are not, physiological functions are not functioning, then we call that illness, some disease, something out of harmony. And we can, again, increase certain places, we can do certain techniques to increase the weakness that we have in our physiological functions as well. So here, samana, liver, pancreas, stomach, all included here. And the final prana is called udana prana. This is the ascending prana, ascending air. So it is, chest, throat, it's going up. It's the thing that expels, it's responsible for even vomiting, violent kind of expulsion. In fact, udana, they say, when you die, this is the last thing to leave your physical body. Everything else exits. This udana expels the subtle body from the physical body. That is the force of udana. So anything burping, even shedding tears because of this air, sneezing, some kind of violent, thing. This expels you also when you die as well. So all of this, karmendriyani, the actions, organs of actions and prana always work together. This is very important because the prana sharira makes which affects your physical body, helps you to have good health, helps you to make the physical body function. So here, we are endowed. In other texts, it's said we are endowed with three Shaktis. Ichha Shakti, power of desire. Jnana Shakti, power of knowledge, power to know. And Kriya Shakti, power of action. This Kriya Shakti is because of prana. Pranayama also influences. So anatomy, the study of anatomy is study of annamaya kosha. Study of physiology is pranamaya kosha. Study of manomaya kosha is psychology. So you see, these all have orders pervading. Every part of you is pervaded by order. That is why there is a science behind your full form. Beautiful. There are sciences of studying. And what is the mistake I make on this pranamaya level? What is the mistake? When I say I am hungry, what is hungry? The physiological function, hunger is built in physiologically. I am ill. I am not well. I is already identified with pranamaya kosha. I am thirsty. I am hungry. All of these, I am mistaken. I take myself to be pranamaya kosha. And because this pranamaya also includes organs of action, how do I judge myself according to my organs of action? I say, oh, I don't have any energy. I lack energy. Or I say, oh, I cannot lift anything. I'm so weak. When you say I'm so weak, all of this, what are you identifying with? pranamaya kosha. Can this pranamaya kosha be you? No, because Atma doesn't do any heavy lifting. Atma gives existence to pranamaya kosha, lights up the dysfunction as well as the function of pranamaya kosha. We have to understand this. It lights up the illness as well as the health. It is both are lit up by Atma. I unfortunately identifies with both the states. Where there is disease, there will always be health. So sometimes I take myself to be healthy, but I take myself to be sick. Why? Because I identify with pranamaya kosha. So it's more subtle than annamaya, more subtle than the gross body, but still there is wrong identification. I am not this pranamaya kosha. There is one more verse that I picked for this pranamaya kosha. We'll see that next week. But in the 166th verse, he says this. He says, the vital air sheath, this pranamaya kosha, cannot be the self because it is modification only of air, vayu. It comes in, it goes out, and it has no consciousness of anything else in the world. It doesn't have any consciousness of your joys in life. It is not conscious of your sorrows in life. It is a dependent reality. So pranamaya kosha is also a dependent reality. It is inert, jadam. Without Atma lighting it up, the physiological functions cannot function. So this is where we have to again analyze. We will see a bit more next week, and then we'll move on to the most important kosha. There are many verses for that kosha because mind is what needs to be mainly addressed. But even on these two levels, after this session, you can see, examine, can I be these koshas? You can see the levels of error that we commit in our life. That I is all over the place. In one day, see where you place your eye. It'll be in one of the koshas. We haven't seen 3 koshas, but at least you can see one time it's in physiological function, another time it's in gross body. It is identified with the gross body. The I is all over the place. But where does it really belong? That we have to recognize, right? So any doubts you can ask. You can ask next week. You can write to me. I will answer in the session next week. This is a very good, how do you say, this particular section gives you more depth, more ability to do vichara, to inquire into your reality, to understand what you really are, who you really are. But you can only understand what you are by understanding what you're not. So this is why neti as a, not this comes into the picture. When you not this, when you negate what you are not, what is already there, self-shining, self-evident, will reveal itself. You don't need to produce it. It automatically shines. But first, this wrong misidentification has to be negated. That's why this methodology is very important. So wish you all a very nice vichara-filled week. Think about all of these and we'll meet next time. Hari Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om. Namaste.